We'll take a look and see what's going on YouTube first before we get too far. If you haven't tuned in before, this is News 12 from downtown Chattanooga, Tennessee. I'm Chief Meteorologist Austen Onek. We are coming to you on Thursday evening, the 16th of May. We're just getting started here. Okay, checking out audio. We are good to go. That's good. This is our online video weather blog, your opportunity to check in with us. And if you're watching from around this particular area, great. If you're tuning in from anywhere else, welcome to Southeast Tennessee, Northeast Alabama, and Northwest Georgia, and Western North Carolina. We'll show you the radar coming up here in just a little bit because there's nothing going on. A lot of people might be thinking, okay, we're making a big deal out of this. We're not trying to hype anything. What we are trying to do is make certain that everybody is paying attention to what is coming up in the course of the next couple of days. And this is just as important as severe weather. We may be looking at the potential of some flash flooding taking place. It doesn't look like a huge amount, but it still does look like that is going to be a pretty good possibility as a approaching storm system taps into moisture off the Gulf of Mexico and could give us the potential for some heavy weather into the weekend. Mainly rain. Doesn't look like severe weather for now. That, again, needs to be said, but we're going to be watching this with a lot of interest, so keep it tuned to News 12 on air and online throughout the rest of the weekend. Let's start off with a little bit of extracurricular activity, just above normal on the high and low temperature for the day. Not too bad out there. No rainfall for today. We're ahead for the month by almost 2 inches and behind for the year by about a fraction of an inch, so we're not doing too terrible out there all the way on through for the Almanac page, so definitely some good news on that. Last week's storms brought out some very good photography. I love the panoramic fisheye effect to this. Thank you very much, News 12 viewer Spencer Holt from East Ridge, Tennessee. Nice view of a shelf cloud approaching from those storms that we saw in the distance out across Middle Tennessee and Alabama last week, moving up through this direction. I assume that's where that was from because this was turned in just right about after those storms hit about a week ago yesterday. So great capture. Thank you very much for sending that in. If you've got pictures, please drop them to us. We want to see what you're seeing and, more importantly, show them to everyone else. So email them to us, drop them to our social media pages, or go to wdef.com/photos to turn in your pictures so we can use them. That's part of our Langley Roofing Weather Window Picture of the Day. And thanks to everybody for doing a great job. Some awesome photography out there. Starting off tomorrow, mostly cloudy, kind of mild, and then temperatures not doing too bad. Chances of showers and thunderstorms greatest in the afternoon and evening, so the kids will need rain protection both to and from school on Friday. It's a very good possibility we could be seeing some problems there. Want to reiterate, for right now, we are not seeing anything in the way of rainfall. What you're looking at here back to the west, this is the high top radar site, and this is from National Weather Service in Alabama over in this area of northeast Alabama. What you're looking at, that growing color area, the radar was already picking up moisture, dust, particulates, things like that. It's called AP, analogous propagation, for the very fancy $12 scientific term out there. But this is where we see nothing going on. The whole thing right now, this is southeast Tennessee, western North Carolina, northwest, north central Georgia, and northeastern Alabama. That's the News 12 viewing area coverage. But for right now, there's no rainfall whatsoever. So why are we showing this to you? Well, because in the course of the next several days, what we're going to be looking at is for this storm system back to the west. Several severe and tornado watches out back to the west of us. A lot of clouds starting to overspread the area, so it's decently clear right now, but these clouds are going to continue to make their way across the area and cover over the entire sky. That'll be the first round. We've got rain making its way to the east of the Mississippi. The severe weather chances, the really good severe weather chances, should be staying down to our south. The kind of sort of good chances will be just south of us and west of us tonight and into tomorrow. But the main thing to look at is this storm system moving its way off and out of the south central United States. This is going to be picking up a lot of moisture off the Gulf of Mexico, which is kind of opening up wide for this system. You can see the fuel being turned into and around this area into clouds, into showers. And again, the potential of some of these thunderstorms, kind of with the severe weather potential, that is going to be mainly down to our south. What we are going to see is going to be the potential for maybe some flash flooding taking place. And again, nothing immediate, not tonight, but into tomorrow. That's where we see the changes taking place. Let's give you an idea as to what's happening. Excuse me. Quiet tonight. Our latest storm system. Let me give the data time to catch up. These wind markers on here take up a lot of space for processing this system. Storm system number 1 off the east coast, that's what just moved through. Storm system number 2 in the central section of the country, and then you notice that area of low pressure down here helping to move that moisture back up from the Gulf onshore, fueling those thunderstorms. Storm system number 3 out into around portions of the northwest United States and western Canada. We'll talk about that later. Most of that is not going to be a concern for us, but next week we'll be seeing another potential of storms, so we'll get a series of them coming through here. First system moves through, gap and nothing going on. Second system comes on through, gap with nothing going on, and then the next system comes in, number 3, after that, as we go into and around the early part of next week. So we've got this pattern shaping up of rain, no rain, rain, no rain, and that'll continue over the next few days. But it's this system that we're going to be concentrating on for right now. The possibility of getting anything in here tonight is slim. Chances of rain will increase into tomorrow morning, so you might get the kids to school on time without rain, but you also will see the potential of some more showers taking place as this system gets a little closer to us later during the morning and into the afternoon. That'll be our better potential of showers mixed with thunderstorms. So if you have plans for outdoors tomorrow, I would plan for an indoor plan B. That goes also right into the rest of the weekend. We'll show you that coming up here in just a little bit. Friday night, again, that warm front of that next system approaches us. So News 12 at 11 Friday night and into early morning Saturday, we see that potential of more showers and thunderstorms developing. And as this system launches out of the picture slowly, we'll see more chances of showers and thunderstorms firing up as we go into Saturday night. And then we'll have some wraparound moisture, not a lot, but could be some showers, maybe a thunderstorm left over, especially as we go into Sunday afternoon. There may be just enough moisture to give us, again, the potential for some thunderstorms mixed in there. A very mild weekend, temperatures at or just above normal coming on through. And then we get into Monday morning, about the time the kids head back to school. For those who still have school, we see temperatures in the 50s and 60s, so very mild. And toward Monday afternoon, nothing going on because the next system will not be here just yet. But that also will change with the chance of more chances of showers and thunderstorms coming on through. Quickly, let's take a look at severe weather chances. Again, right to our west, there's a possibility of just thunderstorms. The key up here, the legend showing again the pale green color, a possibility of generic non-severe thunderstorms. And then we look into the next couple of days as we go into around Friday. Yesterday's forecast from the Storm Prediction Center that puts these outlooks out did have a marginal threat of severe weather for the entire News 12 viewing area. So we don't see that for right now. This forecast is, again, several hours old, so it is possible that we could see, again, a threat of stronger weather, again, down to our south, again, severe weather, damaging winds, large hail, stuff like that, isolated tornadoes way down this direction. Just generic thunderstorms for us for Friday. Then that threat shifts a little bit, but it avoids the entire News 12 viewing area. At least that's what these forecasts are telling us for right now. We don't see anything else in the way of changes taking place because of the fact that, again, these forecasts are showing no severe weather threat for the area. Thunderstorms, yes. Severe weather not touching the area, at least according to these forecasts. So right through here, as this boundary shifts around us, western North Carolina, Georgia, northeast Alabama, you'll be standing the best possibility of anything stronger to severe. But here's where the change kind of takes place. In the next couple of days, we're still seeing, again, no severe weather threat at this time. The threats that are associated with severe weather, mainly looking at damaging winds, large hail, and the possibility of tornadoes. All of those are on the low side. We're not seeing anything at this point that shows anything higher for the time being. So that in and of itself is very good news. The main threat for anything in the way of tornadoes will be south of us. Likewise, wind and hail will be not showing up here. They could show up in a couple of storms. Don't get me wrong. There's still the potential of severe weather. One thunderstorm, if it gets that burst of energy, can become severe, even though there is no forecast calling for that. That can always happen if the conditions are right. But for right now, what we are seeing is going to be, again, the very low potential for anything involving severe weather. What we are also going to see is the potential of a higher threat of heavy rainfall and flash flooding. Notice that it is not a very huge threat, but we do see, again, an elevated possibility. So what are we talking about when it comes to that rainfall? QPF, the quantitative precipitation forecast, showing the next 3 days, is not showing a great deal of rainfall. We'll be picking up, again, about an inch. That's the heaviest that we're seeing for right now. And so now you may be saying, okay, what's the big deal? Why are we chattering this up if it's going to be, again, not really too much of a problem? Well, the problem is that the ground has already been saturated by rain that has already fallen. So the ground already holds a lot of rainfall in it. It's very moist soil. Even though it's dried out over the last day or two, we've had just enough rain to where when the rain hits, instead of getting absorbed by the soil, the rainfall just runs off very quickly. And that means that the water will collect into flash flooding, and if stuff gets into the way of that flash flooding, debris, leaves, whatever else that can get into those ditches, that could back that water up and start creating flooding. If that goes over roadways, that could be a very big, even life-threatening problem. Floods are one of the severe weather threats that a lot of people don't take into account. They think, oh, it's no problem, it's just a puddle, I'll drive right through it. The road may be gone, the water may be deep, there might be all kinds of other stuff in there that will trap you, maybe even drown you. That's not hype. That is not even close to being hype. That's realistically telling you, our audience, about what could happen. I've never engaged in hype before, and I will fight tooth and nail is just anything in the way of, metaphorically speaking, about the idea that you're saying that I'm hyping something. This is something that really needs to be paid attention to, even though it's not a tornado, a bit of large hail, or, again, damaging thunderstorm winds. This is dangerous. And here's why we're talking about this in general. Again, what we're seeing here is not going to be quite so much as what we see down south. We've got a lot of moisture being driven onshore from the Gulf of Mexico up this direction. So what we're going to continue to see is that threat mainly south of us. So Atlanta, Macon, Montgomery, Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, south of Starkville, down toward Jackson, Mississippi. That is going to be 2.5, 3, possibly as much, according to the key here. We're looking around 5 inches plus in some localized areas. Here's the thing about the way the weather patterns work. This is what it looks like for right now. All it's going to take is a little bit more energy from that area of low pressure coming around the horn and making its way up off the Gulf of Mexico. This could drive a lot more rain northward. Now, so far, this is the best outcome of this forecast. The reason I mention this is, again, not hype, but to tell you of the fact that if you have plans Friday night into Saturday, early Sunday, I would be well weather aware to watch out what is going on, to see this chance of rain going up this direction and maybe lifting farther toward us. heavier rainfall, better chances of flooding out there, more probability of getting stuck someplace or having to detour because of flooding, a lot of debris in the roadway if there are any gusty winds with these storms. All of that's possible. So if this just lifts a little farther to the north, we could see a lot of problems. That's why we're telling you about this. So this is going to be the main thing that you need to be aware of into this weekend. Severe weather, not so much. Possible, yes. Likely, no. Flash flooding, possible and likely. But the best threat is going to be well on down to our south. For Friday, the target zone is going to again be central Alabama, southeastern Mississippi, down toward the Florida Panhandle. We're seeing on the 4-point scale of possible flash flooding threats, starting with marginal up through high, we are a 1 out of 4. Down here, closer to Texas, it's a 4 out of 4 high risk. This is just south of that, a moderate threat, but well out of our area. We are still seeing, again, the potential of a marginal threat of flooding, and that continues right on into Saturday. And even so, that slight risk gets a little bit closer to us. So around DeKalb County in Alabama, Chattooga, Walker, Gordon counties, you could be looking at the potential of some of that heavy rain. Traveling on Saturday into Sunday could be soggy and slow. Birmingham, around Atlanta, even up toward Knoxville or Nashville with wet roadways, maybe some breezy winds at times. We could be looking at some possible problems out there. So that's what we're trying to get across into this particular forecast. So please pay attention to what's going on with the forecast across much of the area for tonight. This is something really to pay attention to. It may not be tornadoes, but it is certainly possibly life-threatening and dangerous. So again, please keep it tuned to News 12 for further updates on there. That's something that we really want you to be aware of at this time. EPB Fiber Optics Weather Cam Network looking out to the west, and again, decently clear skies for now, but you can see some of those clouds making their way our direction. All the way back toward the west, so we will be seeing more potential problems out there. Chances of rain begin tomorrow, thunderstorms into tomorrow afternoon, and then we see a pretty soggy Saturday coming up, and then into Sunday we see less chance of showers and thunderstorms, but then that begins to diminish, so we get that gap in between the systems once again. Then as we go from Tuesday into Wednesday, more chances of showers and thunderstorms through about Thursday. Now, will this be as heavy rainfall potential as this? Right now, that particular forecast is still way in the future. Flash flooding forecast we can give you a better idea on because it does get that much closer to the event. So we can tell a little bit more the closer we get on that. The focus is more nearby. Farther out, it's difficult to see. Likewise, at this time in the next 7 days, we're not seeing any threat of severe weather. So we're not picking up anything in the way of severe weather, so that's good news, but we could see some more problems next week. We're coming up on Memorial Day in the next several days. We're coming up on the end of May. Technically, we should be noticing a drop in the number of thunderstorms and the potential of severe weather as we go into the rest of the month of May and early June. That usually begins the summer doldrums around here to where it's possible to see strong thunderstorms, but less likely from late May, give or take through about early October. That's the main climatology of this area that we see that potential out there. And then we get into storm season number 2. That'll be coming up toward about the change in seasons, toward about summer into autumn. We'll watch that very carefully for you, so keep it tuned to News 12. Very much on the mild side, temperatures just above normal. Not quite as hot as we saw last week on the forecast, but it is possible we'll be seeing some toasty and humid conditions outside, so definitely want to stay tuned, and we'll keep you updated on that potential out there. Air quality a little bit reduced into around the area of Hamilton County. A lot of that area of the Tennessee River Valley picking up with our fairly stagnant conditions in this area, and the low-lying areas are more susceptible to this than the higher elevations. But when you've got high pressure and calm conditions, that's when you start seeing the pollutants really stack up. We also have numerous fires popping up, not a great deal, but every single red dot on here on the VIIRS system shows again a possible wildfire popping up. Not huge conflagrations, but again noticeable enough to be tracked from space. So that is really neat to be able to see that, but that also shows that our threat of fires is increasing. Now, watching down to the south, we are seeing wildfires around the panhandle of Florida. That could be a bit of an issue, pushing that smoke back up our direction. So some of that is just on our doorstep and moving up this particular region. Some of that is very heavy over the western Gulf. That, again, coming up from Mexico, where there's numerous wildfires. The smoke from way up to our north, that seems to have stopped a little bit. It looks like the pattern has changed, so the wildfire smoke from hundreds of these sleeper fires over parts of Canada appears to have kind of been pushed back up that direction. Not good news for the Canadian wildfires. Several thousand people are evacuating up here because of the tender dry conditions and the very warm conditions exacerbating the fire season, which technically never really ended from last autumn. So as of right now, even though they got the snows and the ice and the cold temperatures of winter, a lot of those fires just burned right through the underbrush covered over by the snow and have now relit because of the drier conditions. So all across portions of Canada, this is where we're seeing more of that smoke taking place, and will continue to do so. Now, whether or not that affects our air quality greatly in the next few days, we'll have to kind of watch that and see what happens, and we'll keep you updated on that with News 12, so definitely want to stay tuned for that. All right, so for tonight, Andrew Harrison was off, and just Kay Blevins and myself doing the show for this evening. So our friend in roofing.com weather poll of the day. Since 1851, this from the National Hurricane Center, how many hurricanes have made landfall in the continental U.S. as a Category 4 plus storm? That's a lot of storms when you think about it, but how much was the actual number in research and counting? 8, 16, 32, or 44. It was a tie between 32 and 44, and the actual answer was 32. So half of you of that majority got that correct, as did Kay Blevins. So congratulations, Kay. Did a good job answering that question. We'll have another weather question going up for you at midnight tonight, but thank you, whoever did vote in our poll for today. Interesting, we got, again, a tie on the two top tier of answers there. That's really kind of neat to be able to see that. So kind of nice to see that competition sort of going on. Use the QR code on your screen to get there again, or go to wdef.com/vote now. We'd love to have you vote in our polls, but again, we can't do that if you don't vote. So please go out and vote, and we'll see what our next poll question is coming up a little bit later. Think that should almost do it. Let's take a look here again for our outdoor. Let me get the poll question out of the way here. Thank you, friendinroofing.com, for being our sponsor. Thanks to Island Cove Marina and Resort and Tracker Boats for being our sponsor on our outdoors forecast. If you've got a business and would like to be a sponsor, call our sales department and ask about pricing and schedules and stuff like that. If you're not a sponsor, we'd love to have you. Let's haggle something out, get the sales department involved, call them and see what happens, and your logo could be on our forecast up here. 75, the high temperature, a little below normal, but more chances of showers and thunderstorms out there. Heading out tomorrow, the Brainerd and Brown Acres Golf Courses golf course forecast. More chances of showers and thunderstorms the farther you go through the day and into the afternoon. More chances of rain and thunderstorms. So if you're lucky, right after dawn patrol, you might get a round of golf in. Doubtful we're really going to be able to get that much taken care of tomorrow because of the fact that we may see more potential problems out there. There was a free weather radio giveaway tonight by one of the local county governments. I believe it's Whitfield County down in Georgia, but that's now over with. So be on the lookout. We'll have more information about any potential government agency that does that around here. But these weather radios are very easy to program. If you'd like to know how, go to our website, wdef.com/weather, and you should be able to take a look and see very easy about how to program the radio to accept whatever warnings you want it to accept. If you don't want to know about blizzards in North Dakota or earthquakes in California, you don't have to know that. So again, something to really consider there. Those weather radios should be in every business, every home, every mobile home, all the way across the United States, because they are a direct link to the National Weather Service. So great to get information on that. The Eastern Pacific started hurricane season yesterday, the 15th of May. It starts a little earlier than the Central and Western Pacific and the Western Atlantic because of the conditions out there and the amount of warm water circulating on through. Many different factors determine that. But we now have 2 disturbances at this time. Number one, the one from yesterday, this one shows 40%, about a medium chance of developing. One just off to the west of that. That is where we see, again, the potential for another possible system developing. So right through here, this is going to be the area to watch in the next few days. If you're planning a trip to Baja, Acapulco, down to south of Mexico City, that is where we may pick up a possible problem here. But at 20% chance and 40% chance, it's not a great chance, but it is still a chance. So be watching this particular area here. And again, moving up the coast. Remember, this is where Otis started off last year, pretty much, and then curved back toward the western coast of Mexico. It took 9 hours for Otis to go from a tropical storm to a Category 5 hurricane. That's impressive and exceptionally scary. So in this case, if anything forms out here, I would be listening to the authorities to say, when they say it's time to go, it's time to go. Don't sit there and say, oh, I can ride out a Category 5, no problem. Please don't put yourself in that position. That's very scary and not the smartest thing to do. So please pay attention to both the forecasts and anything that develops out there. Again, if we have a storm way out in the Atlantic and it's heading generally for the United States, there's a possibility it could hit anywhere between Maine and Mexico. As that forecast gets closer and closer and closer, we'll see the potential of more in the way of accuracy as that forecast window narrows. But if there's a hurricane out here heading for anywhere this direction, I would be very skeptical about planning a vacation with that forecast. If you're heading that direction and that storm is heading toward you, you're going to have to turn back around and get back out of there again, and that's going to be its own headache. So something to think about. Pay attention to what's going on with the weather. You can find out more about hurricane forecasts at noaa.gov. They just had Hurricane Preparedness Week, so again, a good opportunity to more about that. Find out more on my social media pages, except Facebook. They've locked me out. Somebody tried to hack my account, and Facebook won't let me back in, so I'm kind of stuck with not doing Facebook anymore. But if I'm a customer disinvited to a particular store, I guess I'm not going back again, whether I like it or not. So it was fun, but not happening anytime soon. All right, that should do it for tonight. Been on for nearly half an hour again. Thanks to everybody on Twitch for the follows. Thanks a lot for keeping up with what's going on here. Thank you very much to everybody subscribing on YouTube. Nice to have you on with us. And again, if you have any questions, please let us know. Would love to know more about what you think. If you have questions, comments, anything else about that, that is what we're here for, and we'd love to know more about what you're thinking. If there's something on here that we can answer for you, if I don't know the answer to the question, I'm going to go find out, and then I'm going to let you know a little bit later on. But again, questions, ideas about what's going on, inquiries about what the weather's going to do one way or the other, that's what we're here for you to be able to ask questions, something you can't do during a regular weathercast. So if you have those questions, let's hear them. Open it up, and if you have it, the only stupid question, as I tell the students at the schools I go talk to, the only stupid question is the one that is not asked. That's going to be the most important thing out there. So thanks a lot for joining us for this evening. Chip Chapman will have a forecast update for you on the potential of heavy weather coming our way Friday at 5 a.m., so stay tuned for that. Time saver traffic to keep you on the road on time, and it's a very good possibility that we will see some slowdowns tomorrow, especially during the late morning hours and into tomorrow afternoon. Questions, concerns, ideas, email address aonek@wdef.com. Let us know what you're thinking. And again, bottom of the screen, go to our website, wdef.com/weather. I'm Chief Meteorologist Austen Onek. This is Thursday, May 16th. Thanks for joining us for Weather Overtime tonight. And stay tuned for much more with News 12 into Friday on air and online. And remember, let's be careful out there.